All right, breaking news. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy just announced he will not support a 9/11 style commission to study the Capitol insurrection or investigate it. He wrote, quote, "Given the political misdirections that have marred this process, given the now duplicative and potentially counterproductive nature of this effort, and given the Speaker's short-sighted scope that does not examine interrelated forms of political violence in America, I cannot support this legislation." Legislation, by the way, that was negotiated by a Republican, John Katko of New York. Back with us again, Gloria Borger. So, Gloria, there you have it. McCarthy's against it.
I think it's a complete abdication of his political responsibility, of his responsibility to history and to every person in this country who needs to get to the bottom of what happened on January 6th. Not only is it an abdication, but he also threw his own person, Congressman Katko, a Republican, who negotiated this in good faith with Democrats so they could come up with a way to do an investigation that would be bipartisan. And in saying he doesn't support it, he's saying to Republicans, okay, go out and say whatever you want about it. And we know that just last week, there were Republicans who were out there saying that the insurrection was effectively a walk in the park by a bunch of tourists. It gives them permission to keep telling these lies.
He's trying to, Gloria, pretend in a way that this didn't happen, that it's not something that warrants really an investigation, which is what many Republicans believe. He talks about there being misdirections. The misdirections are coming from his party.
Right. And it's just an excuse. You know, it's an excuse. It's an excuse to say we don't want to look back. Every time we talk about January 6th, it's not good for us Republicans. And maybe McCarthy could be subpoenaed, for example, to talk about his conversation with Donald Trump that day.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really important point here. You are getting this statement, this opposition from a potential witness who might be asked to appear under subpoena and testify under oath.
Yes, and we know exactly what Donald Trump said to him that day and what McCarthy said back to him that day. And we understand that it wouldn't look good for the president. And I think McCarthy wants to avoid all of that completely.
You know, it seems like it's a time where the Congress needs to really be reflecting on what happened on January 6th. What is clear is that what prompted January 6th to happen, Gloria, it's not something that has gone by the wayside. This is still very much a concern. We just heard Reverend Franklin Graham talking about how many Americans, as he breathed life into the big lie himself, how many Americans have concerns, as he put it, about the election. This is not something that is going away. I try to think of, imagine there not being a 9/11 commission. Imagine there not being a look into what happened for the sake of history and for making sure that something like this, which is incredibly serious and significant, that it doesn't happen again.
Right. And I think, you've had our law enforcement agencies talk about domestic terrorism as one of the largest problems that we are facing in this country right now. More than 400 people have been arrested or charged in terms of the insurrection that we saw on January 6th. The American public needs to get answers about this. And I know that Republicans in the House want to broaden this so they can say, okay, there's a lot of it going on both sides. I mean, we understand that's what's going on here. What the country wants to talk about now and wants to understand is just how January 6th occurred and what was behind it. There is plenty of time to investigate everything.
Look, and now we have to watch to see and listen for what Mitch McConnell has to say about this. McCarthy, maybe not so much of a surprise. Where will this go in the Senate? We will keep you all posted on that. Gloria, thank you very much.
Sure.